Good morning. Well, you got up in the morning and had water to rehydrate yourself. And you go out in the muggy weather and you feel thirsty. You open up your water bottle and gulp the water down. And this water bottle, which we know is really not spring water, but is either ordinary tap water or at the most water from the underground. And would you be shocked if I tell you a fact? Possibly you are aware, and I don't have to repeat it, that Canada has 20% of the world's drinking water. But are you aware of this fact that every day 1.4 trillion liters of water is exploited? This 1.4 trillion liters of underground water is used every time. And who are the culprits? Water bottling companies, food processing companies, soda companies like Pepsi and 7 Up and Coke and allied ones. And would you believe that of the total consumption, the farming gets only 0.05%. That's all. 0.05% for the irrigation purposes and balance 1.4 trillion liters by the commercial interest. And by the way, are you aware that the biggest company is Nestle? And Nestle has got 3 licenses. Then they have a subsidiary company, Nestle Water, which has got 6 licenses to mine water. Wow, mining water. And do you know how much they pay to the government for the use of this water? Use your brain, use your imagination. They pay a royal sum of $3.79 for a million liters of water. 1 million liters of water, and they pay 3.79 cents. And the same water in a retail place might get you for $1, $1+, or if you buy in a grocery shop, maybe 12 bottles for $1 or $1.20. I don't buy them. But the whole thing is shocking. And the speed with which the underwater is being exploited. Imagination staggers at the figure of 1.4 trillion, 1.4 trillion liters. And at a royal sum of $3.75 per million liters. Now, I fail to think why our government is so liberal with the natural resources. Our founding fathers and the earlier leaders were very sensible. They banned the export of the water. If the water export had not been banned, you can well imagine that by this time your situation would have been like a sub-Saharan country, where many times I have seen, for example in Nigeria, water is more expensive than the gas is. So you would have been in that unenviable state where you pay for the water through your nose, where you don't waste water. But luckily the sensible action of our earlier leaders saved us from this catastrophe. And we can take pride on our country and our province Ontario for being the storehouse of potable, drinkable water. But the commercial exploitation, I'm not against it. It's always for the good. But the rate what they are paying and the returns they are getting, they are disproportionate. Imagine 3.79 liters of water, dollars for a million liters. And how much they get in return for the million liters. Secondly, in case 1.4 trillion water is being drawn from our underground resources, how long would it last? Let's not forget that it's not a never-ending source. Let's not forget that our reserves are getting low. They may not be as precariously low as in some parts of the world, including USA, where Arizona and Texas, the situation is bad. But they would get low definitely if this shameless, relentless exploitation of the natural resources is not halted. I'm amazed at the ambivalent policy of the government regarding the protection of the natural resources. You cannot cut a tree, even if it's in your land, without getting permission and planting a tree in its place. You cannot buy a tree estate in a crown land or anywhere and cut the trees of your own accord. You need proper permissions. You have to compensate for the trees cut so that the green cover is not affected, totality of the green cover. What action is the government taking? By permitting 1.3 trillion dollars, 3 trillion liters to be exploited, and no action at all is expected from these exploiters and users for recharging the aquifers. The basic concept in pollution control and in protection of the natural resources is the user pays. Here the ultimate user is paying, but the money is not going for recharging the aquifers, it's going in the pocket of the industrialists. Again, I have nothing against the profit making. There's a genuine, acceptable work, and they have every right to earn money if they are entrepreneurial. But to use the natural resources for your personal ends at a cost to the government, at a cost to the public at large, and for the generations to come is heinous and criminal. And unfortunately, the wrong policies of the government, coupled with the commercial akuma of these businessmen, is responsible for this mass, shall I say, exploitation of those resources which are not relevant today only, but shall be of crucial importance in the future. It's usually said that the Third World War would be fought on the control of water. From that point of view, ironically, in case the water resources of Canada are depleted, then there's no hope for war, there's no fear of war with the neighbor at the south end. But his condition would be worse, so the consequences would be there. But imagine, put yourself in a situation that 1.4 trillion liters of your underground precious resource of life-sustaining, life-giving water is taken away, and no comparative retribution is there. There is no effective recharging the aquifers by the exploiters. My issue is, A, why permit these companies to mine water? They make exorbitant profit and they don't pay for that. Either don't permit them because this natural resource is being wasted there. It's a commercial which has venture which has no benefit to the society as a whole. As a matter of fact, the soda companies are closed down. It might be better because it shall help in sustaining better health and the health cost would also come down. But to permit them to exploit our natural resource by paying $3.75, just $3.75, not even $4, for a million liters and earn possibly billions of dollars from this resource, which is your resource and my resource, this natural resource, which belongs to not only to us, but to our coming generations. This is the height of insanity. There always has got to be a quid pro quo. That's the basics of economics. You charge for something and you repay. So either make them pay through the nose. First thing is they should not be permitted to do it, and this should be restricted absolutely. Secondly, they should be made to pay through their nose that the venture becomes just tolerable and not exploitative in nature. At present, these economic ventures are exploitative. Exploitative of the public exchequer because they're not paying enough. Exploitative of the natural resources because they are not recharging the aquifers. And exploitative of our whole system. Who are the guilty people? The guilty, you would say, is the businessmen. I won't blame them. Businesses by nature are exploited. They take advantage of every situation. But when the political leadership and the bureaucratic leadership are conniving with that, are closing their eyes to the reality, and are in fact facilitating this exploitation, that is something which is worrisome. What is really called matter of worry is that we do not have finely honed, well-defined policies to protect our natural resources. We do not have that capability which ensures that our future generations shall not be deprived of the water. Maybe the situation comes when Ontario has to change its name. You know, Ontario means the land of the shining water. Maybe a time would come, if this exploitation continues unabated, when it will be the land of the shining sands. I simply am not worried. I'm really pained and agonized at this absolutely senseless outrage on the coming generations who have no role to play in even an idea of what's going to happen to them when they come to this land. We have a major issue. Water is a resource that is in acute short supply all over the globe. And as the scientists say, I may not agree with it, but as they say, the global warming is there. This resource is going to get scarcer because the ices are melting, and ice is a major source of recharging the aquifers, especially the snow. And if the snow decreases, the volume of snow decreases, the rate of charging the aquifers would also decrease proportionately. So on the one side, you are exploiting the underground resource. On the other side, you are not recharging the aquifers. So a very unbalanced situation develops. And this unbalanced situation is a matter of concern. It should be a matter of concern to the political authorities. It should be a matter of concern to the leadership. But are they really concerned? I'm yet to see any government taking action on these lines. I've been here in this country for almost 20 years, 2 decades. And I have not seen, I've seen, private members' bills even for celebrating X month for one community, Y month for the Z community, and things like that, which are basically meaningless. But I am yet to see a concerted action by our legislators or by any enlightened legislator to produce a bill or present a document to the parliament asking for the right to conserve our natural resources, to enhance the earlier restrictions when we said you shall not export water, it should also be you shall not exploit underground water resources for commercial ends unless you take steps to recharge the aquifers. Is it asking too much? I don't think so. Then why are they not doing? They are more concerned with celebration and anniversaries and festivals than the parliament. Well, do it. I have no problem with that. But do something which is more concrete and more useful for the country and the nation. Would any of the legislators have the social conscience and show a sense of commitment to our natural resources? They talk a lot about global warming, climate change, and they are a party to this senseless exploitation which enriches only 0.01% of the total population. How long would this continue? That is a matter which we have to think about. We have to discuss. We have to ruminate. And we have got to force by persuasion, our legislators to think in a manner which is pro-country, which is pro-generation, pro-coming generations, pro-future generations, and pro-water resources. Let's hope we can do it. Thank you.